This is Paul.
And this is Wayne.
Well, Paul.
Yes, sir.
I understand you have finally joined the rest of us and started watching Luke Cage.
Well, so, they released a new Defenders trailer at San Diego Comic-Con. And
yes, they did.
It looks
pretty
great.
hot, too.
Yeah,
it looks pretty hot.
Yeah, I particularly love Daredevil in the trailer. I think he kind of stole it.
Well, did you notice that Iron Fist was doing things that look like something a real martial artist would do? I mean, I'm not judging or anything, but it just seems like somewhere between his show and the Defenders, he may have taken a karate class or two.
We'll get into. Well, did you hear that Iron Fist is coming back for a season 2?
It was surprising as hell, but yeah.
Yeah, they're changing the showrunner though, so that'll definitely help.
Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I have not.
It's painful.
Well, so you were talking. I have not gotten to Iron Fist yet, but anyway, with Defenders coming out on August 18th, I was like, oh damn, because I want to see that as soon as I can when it drops. So what I did instead, what I needed to do was get caught up on my Luke Cage and Iron Fist because I had not seen either of them. And
right.
So last Sunday, I watched the first 2 episodes of Luke Cage. And my first words were, God damn, this is going to be rough. This is going to be rough.
That's why I haven't ever made it through.
But
it gets better, Paul.
Immediately after episode 2, the show gets good.
Yeah, no, it gets better. It gets better.
The first 2 episodes are terrible. But now I just finished episode 7, which is where the big twist happens.
Mm-hmm.
And
a twist.
And episodes 3 through 7 were all great. Now I hear it gets bad after that again.
It does, yes.
But I am through episode 7, which means I have 6 more to go, and then I'll hit up Iron Fist and all 13 hours of that garbage.
As Jessica Jones might say of Luke Cage, it's a rough ride.
Yeah.
But I mean, it is all hard, all rough, all terrible when you get into Iron Fist.
Good times.
God,
is it at least not boring? Because that was the problem with Luke Cage episodes 1 and 2. Luke Cage episodes 1 and 2 were just boring.
I can tell you, Paul. I made it. I haven't had a problem watching Iron Fist. It's not good, but it's not as painful to me as those first episodes of Luke Cage. I stopped Luke Cage at episode 2. I made it way further into Iron Fist than I did Luke Cage. The
problem with Iron Fist is that it never lives up to its potential. It never is as cool as it should be. It's never as cool as you want it to be. The hero is, if this is a story of a hero's journey, you spend the whole time going, is he really a hero? Is he heroic? Is this somebody that anybody should be following? There are things about him that you just don't understand the appeal.
Yeah, if the hero's journey is the hero, under their own power getting somewhere, this is the hero calling Uber.
Yeah, no, I mean it is such a terrible show. But I think you have to get through it to get to the Defenders.
Yeah, but it's not painful to watch though. Like it's not.
I think it depends on your definition of painful. Like 13 hours of garbage is I mean, now, as long as it's not boring. That's
I will tell you, I found some things excruciating about Iron Fist, and largely because I was yelling at the TV so much. I mean, I turned into my dad. That was my superpower. I shape changed into my father yelling at the TV.
There are some really good things about it, though, and none of it is him or.
Yeah. No, it's the bad guy. I really enjoy the bad guy. I really enjoy Colleen Wing.
Yes, she's the best thing about the show.
Yeah, and a better fighter than him. It's like nobody caught that in the directions. Like, hey, the person who's supposed to be his sidekick is better at this than him. Yeah. Anyway, I don't mean to spoil things for you, Paul, but I recommend drinking.
Yeah, well, that's no problem. Oh my God!
But hey, so we're in our second week now of being officially over at iomgeek.com.
Woo, yes. So
yeah, go ahead, Paul.
Well, I don't know I don't know where you were going to go, and now I'm curious. So you go.
Okay. Well, I was just going to let our followers know we've updated all of our RSS feeds. So if your podcatcher has not updated the feed, you might want to go and resubscribe. But we have updated iTunes. We are on Google Play. We've updated all of those feeds. There are RSS. We have separate, unique RSS feeds on the site now. So you can just follow Funnybooks if you want. You can just follow the IOM Actual Plays and Rainsboro if you want. Now you've got sort of a smorgasbord of choices in terms of your pod catching.
Now, here's a good point that I should make. Our old feed was listed as Ideology of Madness. We are now on this podcast officially at Funnybooks with Aaron and Paulie. Rainsboro is at Rainsboro. And the other feeds are forthcoming, but the names have changed. So that could be one of the issues you're running into. Funnybooks with Aaron and Paulie is what you want to look for. We are on Google Play. I need to check into Stitcher because I know some folks listen through that, but we are available in more places than ever before, but definitely check out iomgeek.com. Do it.
That's right. And ideologyofmadness.com will get you to iomgeek.com, but either one of those URLs will work. So wahoo!
So we were talking about Luke Cage and Iron Fist, and Netflix made a bunch of announcements at San Diego Comic-Con. And I don't know that Netflix made the announcements or if they were other. I don't know if Netflix had its own panel, but there sure seemed like a lot of Netflix-related news. And Netflix is becoming a force to reckon with. And one thing that's not on our outline is you guys heard that Netflix purchased the rights to the new Martin Scorsese film.
No.
This is not a joke.
No.
This is actually not a joke. Netflix, Martin Scorsese is doing a film, get this, that is teaming up Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, and Joe Pesci, and Netflix got the exclusive rights to it.
Huh. No, I had not heard this.
Yeah.
Is it a gangster movie?
It's I believe it's a Jimmy Hoffa film, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a thing. I'm definitely interested.
That sounds great.
In that, it's been a long time coming. Apparently, Joe Pesci turned it down like 100 times, and Martin Scorsese legitimately just kept calling him.
And he said, "Okay."
Yeah. Netflix paid $105 million for this gangster movie called The Irishman. With Robert De Niro. Robert De Niro plays Frank the Irishman Sheeran, a mob hitman who supposedly was involved in the death of Jimmy Hoffa. It also has Barbie Carnival and Harvey Keitel.
Did you say Bobby Cannavale?
Cannavale. Yeah, whatever.
I love him. I love that guy.
Yeah. So definitely cool. But they also purchased the rights for the new film Bright, which is from director David Ayer, who directed Suicide Squad, who teams up with his Suicide Squad main cast of Will Smith and Joel Edgerton. And it's a cop drama set in a world where magic is real. So it's kind of like mixing Alien Nation with the Dresden Files.
Yeah, Alien Nation really jumped out at me when I watched the trailer for this. Will Smith, I think, does particularly well when he plays these cop roles. Because Will Smith plays one character, Will Smith. So in this one, Will Smith is a police officer who is given a diversity hire to work with, an ogre.
Played by Joel Edgerton.
And remind me who Joel Edgerton is in Suicide Squad.
He was the main military guy. I don't remember what the character's name was.
Flag?
Yeah, he was Rick Flag.
And he was recently in House of Cards this season.
Yes, he was also in the rebooted RoboCop as well.
Yeah.
I didn't even recognize him under the makeup.
Yeah, he is unrecognizable in this film.
Huh. So when does that hit Netflix?
November timeframe, I think, like sometime before Christmas.
The trailer looks really good.
It is a well-budgeted film. It looks like something that you would see on the big screen, but it is exclusive to Netflix. And David Ayer, I know people don't like Suicide Squad necessarily, but the guy's a decent director. So I think that's probably going to be Will Smith's best film in a while. And hopefully it'll turn into some type of franchise. But it is an R-rated film. David Ayer did say that.
Did you ever see Will Smith's The Pursuit of Happiness?
I did not.
Oh my God! It is a soul-crushing film.
That's why I haven't seen it.
It has a nice ending, but literally the ending is 2 minutes of good. The rest of it is just soul-crushing, and I bring it up. It's outside of our our genre.
No.
But I bring it up because Wayne says that Will Smith plays one character, and that is absolutely not true in this movie. I will say he tends to play the same character in most of his movies, but that is not true here.
Yeah, that was an exaggeration. He has a couple characters, but generally he plays himself. Plays one character.
I gotta say, not to get off topic, but I'm gonna get off topic. I feel like most actors nowadays just play themselves. I mean, like George Clooney is always George Clooney. Brad Pitt is always Brad Pitt.
I don't know if that's true about Brad Pitt.
Tom Cruise is always Tom Cruise.
I will say that's true of Tom Cruise. Except for maybe when he made that, what was that art house film he made where he wasn't a televangelist, but he was like a self-help guru guy.
Oh, I never saw that one.
I didn't either, but it seemed like that was a different character then. Yeah. But yes, no, I agree. I mean, like, I will tell you that, when he did the movie where he plays the blind, Scent of a Woman, he plays the blind veteran, right? I mean, he has played that same character, though sighted, in every movie since then. Yeah. It's just over the top, chewing the scenery. If you compare his performance in the first two Godfather films against anything he's done since Scent of a Woman, you can't recognize him.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's such a subtle actor in his early work, and he's just so over the top in everything since Scent of a Woman.
I don't disagree. Well, one more piece of Netflix news is that they released the trailer for Stranger Things Season 2.
God, it looks so great.
That is a great damn trailer.
God dang. And the use of Michael Jackson's Thriller, the narration from that, with Vincent Price, is just a terrific use of that sound.
So as that's going on, I'm listening to it, and I'm like, are they... Because it has such a good feel to it in the trailer. And it's like, it's going to really throw it in a second here. But they cut the line without a soul for getting down to make it creepier.
Right. No, I thought that it was such a beautifully shot trailer and beautifully edited trailer. Sometimes trailers just don't come together very well. And that hit all the feels. I can't wait. I cannot wait for Stranger Things.
Yeah, it looks like they are upping the ante on season 2. Yeah. It just looks fantastic, and
I saw an article that said that they plan to end Stranger Things sooner than you might think. Like maybe season 3 might be the last season of Stranger Things,
which makes sense. I think you want to end it while they're still young. Yeah. And finish a story rather than come up with a reason to make it longer just because it's popular.
Right.
I'm looking at you, Supernatural.
Oh God, I can't. I wore out on Supernatural several seasons back, and every time I see that it gets renewed, I'm like, seriously. I mean, seriously. Yeah. Along the lines of Stranger Things, when I was at the theater last week, we saw the trailer for It.
Yes.
Okay, so. It's the first time I've seen the trailer. It's the first time my wife's seen the trailer. And there is you've got the kid walking down the street, and he's playing with his paper boat, and the paper boat goes into the storm drain, and he's approaching the storm drain, and then there's that flash of the clown. Yeah. In the storm drain. Suzanne leapt out of her chair. As did most of the people in the theater. It was great. It was thoroughly enjoyable.
Well, they have a new trailer that was released at San Diego Comic-Con and is online now that looks even better. And, it's funny because we were talking about Stranger Things and, along the same lines. It has one of the same actors. I think his name is Finn Wolfhard. He's the main character from Stranger Things, and he's also in Stephen King's It. And damn, that film looks so good. I am very excited for it. Less excited for part 2, but the first part is going to be good.
Are you hard? No, I'm Wolfhard.
What does that even mean?
Those who know.
Yeah, I was about to say, if you have to ask, you'll never know. So and sticking with the TV news, there were new trailers released for Star Trek Discovery and the Orville, kind of related to each other because the Orville is heavily influenced by Star Trek.
I gotta say, I'm really amused that the Orville is taking up the flag as like legitimate Star Trek entertainment, as opposed to Star Trek spoof, science fiction spoof. I mean, the producers are saying, we are going to straight up Star Trek this stuff. That this is this is an homage. This is we will explore. We will be optimistic. I was like, I'm really kind of impressed by that, and it seems a strange take.
Yeah, the trailer I actually really enjoyed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I haven't seen the new trailer for the Orville, but the first one I saw, super impressed. I mean, I hope that, I know the trailers emphasize the comedy, and I know that's Seth MacFarlane's pedigree, but he is a huge Star Trek fan.
Yeah, big time Star Trek fan.
The ship looks really good too. Yeah. Like the design of it.
I'm hopeful that the show itself will be science fiction comedy and not comedy science fiction. Right. I hope it's in that order. That we'll get a Star Trek show with a lot of humor, but not necessarily a comedy show with some science fiction in it.
And I will say, for the most part, that's something that is really missing from Star Trek. For when you think of Next Generation, not so much the original series, but those series that came after it, a well-developed sense of humor is not something that was really part and parcel of those shows. You would have some great amusing shows like Trouble with Tribbles, the Harry Mudd episodes, but as part of an ongoing sort of sense of humor, Star Trek really isn't very good at that. So that could be something that Seth MacFarlane brings to the table.
Yeah, and some people try to like figure out, what's the code on these Marvel movies, or why are characters like the characters in Star Wars Episode 7 so likable? And it's because of the injection of humor. You inject some humor right away, characters become instantly likable and relatable. But when you try to avoid that,
I mean. Humans make fun of every situation, right? I mean, in our darkest moments, we're cracking wise. And that doesn't happen in a lot of material, And so when you do that, it immediately makes those characters more accessible, more human, more likable.
Like us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We are more real than almost anybody you've ever met.
Pay attention, DC Comics, while you're making movies.
Well, I think we're getting that in Justice League. But where we're not getting any humor is in that trailer for Star Trek Discovery. That looks like a joyless show to me.
It does seem very serious and intense, but I got to tell you, that new trailer looks hot.
I don't know, Aaron. That new trailer did not impress me.
I got to tell you, I thought that it was scratching me right where it itched, Paul. But I will say, I mean, in a lot of respects, it reminds me a lot of Star Trek Enterprise. It seems very serious.
It looks like
if you're going to have
sorry, go ahead.
If you're gonna have a show called Discovery, we need to see the wonder of exploration. We need to see the whole reason that you go back in time is to show that period of discovery, of exploration, of finding new things, seeking out new life, new civilizations, boldly going where no one's gone before. That's what you're supposed to be about. It concerns me. It looks like we're going to be about a lot of political intrigue. We're going to be into the machinations in the Klingon Empire. Don't get me wrong. That kind of scratches me right where I itch. But that is not what's going to bring new watchers to your show.
No. The sense of wonder of exploring new things doesn't seem present, at least in the trailer. I'm hopeful that the trailer is just, indicative of the pilot, and after the pilot, we'll get something different.
Yeah. And that's what I think it is. I think it is pilot driven. I will say I was very harsh about the Klingon makeup and design early on. Mm-hmm. I am less harsh about that now. I still don't like it. I don't understand the deviation, but I also understand that there is a story reason.
Yeah,
so if there's a story reason, I'm going to let it go.
They are saying there's a story reason. They're saying it's based on different houses on Klingon, and so is the reason we're getting different types of Klingons throughout the years. I did not care for the new trailer. I feel like it looks like it doesn't look like it fits. based on where it's supposed to be in the timeline. It looks super influenced by J.J. Abrams. There's even that one scene where she's shooting out of the airlock, just, flying through space. And I'm like, that's the J.J. Abrams Star Trek. Like, stick to if you're going to do original universe, stick with it. But we'll see. We'll see.
I also agree. It looks heavily J.J. influenced. It concerns me. I mean, they're clearly spending a lot of money on the designs. Mm-hmm. I saw all kinds of prop pictures from San Diego Comic-Con, and I was like, wow, that's pretty hot. I can't wait to have that toy. But, it does not seem to appropriately fit in the timeline. And I keep hearing that they have actually done what I've always said Star Trek needs to do. They hired fans to fact check them to make sure that they were staying timeline true. So, yeah, I know. I was like, God, how do you get that job? I need that job.
No shit.
So, Paul, you mentioned Justice League.
Yeah.
So, I watched the new Justice League trailer that came out of San Diego Comic-Con. And I remember going in, I hated Batman versus Superman.
I recall.
I am basically to the point where I'm through with DC movies. This is the first trailer that made me actually have any hope for Justice League.
Looked pretty hot.
Yeah. I think the trailer was both very good, and we've mentioned comedy. Flash, who I thought looked horrible in everything we've seen him in so far, he looked good. He stole the trailer. He was funny, and it was interesting.
I will say my only concern with Justice League, and I think that trailer, that 4-minute trailer that was released during San Diego Comic-Con, looks badass. But my concern with it is that the ending is going to turn into a bunch of computer-generated heroes fighting a giant computer-generated creature again with Steppenwolf, because it just feels like that's where we're going in it, and that's how Batman versus Superman ended. That's how Wonder Woman ended. That appears to be how this is going to end. That looks like how Avengers: Infinity War is going to end. And it's like, what? We went from giant holes in the sky in every freaking movie to now giant computer-generated creatures, that are 20 feet tall that the heroes have to fight. And that's, I just get the feeling that's where Justice League is going to end, with a giant computer-generated Steppenwolf fighting the heroes. And I'm tired of seeing that. Give me something new. The reason Civil War resonated so well with me was that, when the characters are fighting at the end, it's just that 2-on-1, intimate fight at the end. And yeah, Iron Man is computer-generated, but it doesn't feel like, stupid CGI all over the place. And that's why that film resonated so well with me. But when I see the ending of Batman versus Superman, I thought was the worst part of the film.
Yeah, and my other complaint about the DC movies is, especially Batman versus Superman, Man of Steel, the final fights on these things, they don't look like they're in the real world.
Because they're not.
Yeah.
They're in a computer.
And that's the thing. It's so obvious. Like the Marvel movies, I can't think of a Marvel movie, except for maybe Guardians of the Galaxy, where the fight scene looks really alien or doesn't look like it could have happened on Earth. And that's what these all look like. It looks like you see the trailers of these things, and it looks like this big alien landscape where you wonder, are they going to be sucked into like the,
Phantom
another universe to fight or something? But no, it's just a destroyed city generally.
Well, they did announce that there would also be a Wonder Woman 2, surprising no one. I think it's been dated for 2019, if I recall.
Yep.
So between Justice League's Part 1 and 2.
At Christmas time.
Very nice. Oh yeah, because that time frame is usually for the last couple of years has been Star Wars, but Star Wars is switching back to May release dates with the upcoming Episode 8.
Yep. Pretty excited about that. Pretty excited about the Justice League film. My only, we know that Superman's coming back in that movie, right? At what point does he come back in the movie? Does he come back in the final act?
It seems like the final act.
Yeah.
I actually wonder how much the movie will even wrap up. Like if they're going to end up making like a cliffhanger or something.
Oh yeah, they've already said that. Originally it was going to be called Justice League Part 1 and Justice League Part 2 or something like that. Just like Avengers: Infinity War, both of those are ending on cliffhangers because they're both 2-part films. This film is going to set up Darkseid, just like Infinity War is going to set up, the Infinity Gauntlet. What I think is interesting is, they announced that, they finally. They're kind of going back to the studs on the Flash movie, and
studs,
like where you, maybe that's the wrong term, but starting from scratch.
Okay.
On the Flash movie, and they are instead basing it on Flashpoint.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Which
I saw that.
Is an odd choice for me for his first movie.
For his first film. Unless, I don't know, maybe it's a way to link the TV show to the film universe,
Possibly.
and glimpses of both. Because I think the fans, because Flash is so popular, the TV show, I think fans are really struggling with, this other guy.
Yeah. Well,
I know I am. I like Grant Gustin, and it's jarring to me that you got two very different interpretations. Maybe that's how they link that to make everybody happy.
You know what I think it is? I think they're turning Flash into a Flashpoint movie so that they could basically just make it Justice League 1.5, so that they could incorporate other superheroes into the film to bring people to the theaters, just like Marvel's doing with Thor. Well, Thor is kind of the films that people don't like, so maybe we'll throw Hulk in it, and then people will want to see it.
I have to say, it worked. It made me want to see it a lot more.
Well, I hated the second Thor film. I can't rewatch it.
Yeah,
I like the first one. Can't watch the second.
They're also the lowest grossing Marvel films, and Marvel's not stupid. Well, no one's really going to see Ant-Man. Maybe if we advertise that the Avengers are in it also, and that kind of thing.
Ant-Man's a fantastic movie, though.
It is, but it's one of those things that when it's an unproven commodity like this new Flash character is, I think what DC's trying to do is, okay, well, we can advertise it that it's going to have alternate versions of the Justice League in it, and people will come to it because they'll, it's like Civil War, basically. I think that's what they're doing with the Flash, and we had mentioned Thor. There was a new Thor trailer released, where I will say the new Thor I think looks fantastic, but I think they've turned it into a Guardians of the Galaxy movie.
No, it looks almost exactly like Guardians of the Galaxy in the way they're advertising it.
To the point that I watched the trailer and it occurred to me, I'm like, they turned Hulk into Drax. That is exactly what they did.
Yeah.
I like that we're finally going to get Hulk talking, but that they give him kind of a caveman type speech.
He just looks like Drax to me. I mean, not physically, but like every time he talked in the trailer, I'm like, that seems like something Drax would say. You're more of a smoldering fire, that kind of thing.
They definitely added a lot more comedy than the second Thor movie had. At least in the trailer, there were really funny moments, and I don't remember funny from the second Thor movie at all. The first one had some comedy and it had some funny in it, but
yeah, the second movie's just outright bad.
Yeah,
it's just a bad film. There's so much wrong with that movie.
I haven't gone back and rewatched it. I saw it in theaters. I own it, but I never rewatched it.
Yeah, it is not good. It is not good on many levels. I mean, half of the movie is so dark you can't see what the hell's going on.
Yeah, I think Thor. I think the Thor films are my least favorite of the Marvel films, just like they are everyone's. But hopefully this new one will be good. I have a good feeling about it.
Yeah,
I think it looks incredible, and I think it looks incredible because of Hulk in it.
Exactly.
Well, I think it looks. For me, it looks good seeing him way outside of what we've typically seen him in, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, I love the idea that you have the aspect of Thor that you can tell the sword and sorcery sorts of stories in the Marvel universe, but they just went to such a weird place in the previous movie. And so getting to see him fight Thor, getting to see him fight Hulk, and have that kind of outer space fun in addition to going back and seeing Hela. I mean, whoever thought you'd see Hela on the screen looking like she does in the comic book?
Right.
I mean, come on. I mean, that right there, I'm super excited about.
Well, since we're talking about Thor, let's kind of talk a little bit about some comic-related San Diego Comic-Con news. Far less comic-related news, because that stuff they don't necessarily have to hold for San Diego Comic-Con. But, the Marvel Legacy is coming. That's Marvel's big reboot post Secret Empire. I think we talked last week how Mark Waid and Chris Samnee are taking over Captain America. Right. But one thing we hadn't mentioned was that there is going to be a Marvel Legacy book, Marvel Legacy #1. It comes out in September. That's going to kick off the new Marvel Legacy initiative. It's written by Jason Aaron with art by Esad Ribic. And they are going to be introducing the Avengers of 1 million BC.
I saw some stuff on that, yeah.
And the Avengers of 1 million BC, I'm just going to go ahead and read the characters. They are Agamotto, Black Panther, Iron Fist, Odin. Sorry, my computer's taking a minute to load this webpage. The Phoenix, and Starbrand. So it's a lineup that I quite frankly I like the fact that Jason Aaron's writing it, but damn, this feels like a Jonathan Hickman idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Ghost Rider. I'm sorry, Ghost Rider is in it as well.
Is he riding a dinosaur?
He might be.
Oh, if he doesn't, they've missed out.
He's riding a woolly mammoth. Sorry.
Oh, well, okay, not as cool, but not okay.
No, it should have been a velociraptor.
But I'm kind of interested in that concept. I think it's going to be interesting. So I will pick up Marvel Legacy #1 as long as it's not $8 goddamn or something. As Marvel is wont to do. Hopefully they'll wise up with this, based on DC Rebirth, and make this an extra size book for $2.99 like DC Rebirth #1 was. But that just doesn't seem like Marvel style.
Yeah, that's not a Marvel move.
No,
that's not yeah.
But so in addition, there was a DC Masterclass panel, and I don't know if you guys remember that the DC Masterclass are guys like Greg Capullo, Scott Snyder, John Romita Jr., and that kind of thing.
Right.
Well, they had a surprise guest on the panel, and it was Frank Miller.
To announce that he's not dead yet?
To announce that, one, he's not dead yet, and two, he is doing a new book for DC. He is doing Superman Year One. And he is only writing it. The art is going to be done by John Romita Jr. I know that sounds concerning on both ends of the spectrum, but I will remind folks that Batman Year One was excellent, as was Daredevil: The Man Without Fear, which was the same creative team of Frank Miller and John Romita Jr. with Klaus Janson on
Klaus.
Yes, but those are very different characters than Superman.
Is Klaus Janson involved?
He wasn't announced, but I would be shocked if he's not.
Okay.
Because I know Miller and Klaus Janson had kind of a falling out years ago, but I believe they've reconciled since. I'm curious. It's going to be I think it's going to be a graphic novel. I don't think it's going to be a series. I think the DC has learned from the DK3 debacle, which I will tell you, I in the new DC sale that Comixology had during San Diego Comic-Con, I picked up the remaining issues of Dark Knight 3. I haven't read them yet, but I did pick them up. And Aaron, there is an Avatar line-wide sale going on right now where you can finish off your the remaining issues of Providence for $1.25 each.
Oh, really? I'll have to jump in and do that.
Yeah, I did. Well, I picked up those in Mercury Heat for $1 each.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
We can finally finish that damn book.
Yeah. Well, I did some damage during the DC Comics buy one get one sale.
Yeah.
I bought a whole. I got the entire run of Mark Evanier's New Gods.
I
love that. I love that run of New Gods. The artwork is a little 90s or a little 80s and wonky, but the stories are great. So I finished off my Arion collection.
Nice.
I did all kinds of stuff there. So, but one thing that every now and again I get frustrated that the comic that I want is not available digitally. And it surprises me that there are not more issues of Spider-Man's Marvel Team Up in Comixology. There are some, but by no means the full run. And there's so much good stuff in that run. I mean, they practically had the entire run of Marvel 2-in-1 featuring The Thing, but just it seems like such a small number of books of Marvel Team Up. And I tell you what, that was my Spider-Man jam back in the day.
Did you hear they're bringing back Marvel 2-in-1?
I did not. I love that. I love that with The Thing. Is it going to be The Thing?
So it's going to be a Thing and Johnny Storm team up book.
Now that could be interesting because we're not getting those characters right
Well,
now.
the thing to remember about Marvel 2-in-1 is that's where a lot of this whole Marvel Universe stuff is coming from that we're seeing in the movies. Project Pegasus. There's a lot of the story was refined in the Cosmic Cube. That's where Thanos had some of his big stories. Yep. Was in Marvel 2-in-1.
The Thanos copter.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You gotta love the Thanos copter, Paul. Good times.
Maybe they'll bring it back.
But also Adam Warlock. She and him. Showed up in the pages of Marvel 2-in-1. So Guardians of the Galaxy, they didn't start there, but they had a pretty big piece in there. So a lot of the stuff that you're seeing in the Marvel Cinematic Universe spent some quality time over in Marvel 2-in-1. I love those old Marvel team up books. And I think there's just some great stuff there. In fact, the Chris Claremont John Byrne run in Marvel Team Up with Spider-Man is fantastic and really sort of presages what they're going to do in the X-Men back in those days. And I love those pages. In fact, there are some great pages with Iron Fist and Colleen Wing in the pages of Marvel Team Up.
Yeah, I tell you, the book I used to love was Marvel Comics Presents.
Yeah.
Where you would have 4 different books, because a lot of them were Ghost Rider and Wolverine stories that, and you could get them pretty cheap.
I remember there was a
book.
Yeah, I remember there was a Spider-Man Wolverine team up. It was 3 parts and it was done by Eric Larson, and I used to love the shit out of that story.
Yeah.
Marvel has some interesting legacy books coming out. I hope that they will learn from DC Comics and do the $2.99 thing. I feel like they would be stupid to not watch the market.
Marvel doesn't really strike me as an enterprise that learns things.
Fair. Well, except that this Marvel Legacy totally seems like it's cribbing off DC Rebirth. But
yeah.
But speaking of DC Rebirth, we picked up some DC books this week. Starting up with the new issue of Action Comics, the concluding chapter of the Revenge storyline.
And while it's the concluding chapter, it doesn't really feel like it concludes anything.
It concludes nothing.
Yeah, what they're essentially doing is just retitling for the next story.
Yeah.
But it is a major story dangle. The stuff is still hanging. You could call it a cliffhanger in that ending because it resolves absolutely nothing.
Well, except that now Zod has a wife and child just like Superman. So now we're going to get Superman family versus Superman family.
Well, and we had that story previously before the New 52, right?
Yeah.
Because Superman had recovered Zod's son from the Phantom Zone, named him Chris, right?
Is that who this kid is?
Yeah.
I wasn't sure because I thought Chris was good.
Well, Chris was good. This is a reinterpretation for the New 52. So same idea in terms of lineage, but different take on the character.
Yeah, this one hasn't gone under Superman's wing. He's been raised by Ursa.
Right. Because remember, in the Phantom Zone, both Zod and Ursa were there, and they were really pretty abusive parents.
Yeah.
And so Superman saves Chris in the Phantom Zone, brings him home, raises him as his own, which really kind of, laid the groundwork for, wouldn't it be cool to have a Superman and Son book? And then, Chris has to return to the Phantom Zone at the end of that story, at the conclusion of that storyline. But yeah, I think it's I think there are some neat elements in this book, Paul, but I got to tell you, I was super frustrated at the way the book ended.
I was too. And I will say this is the first time where Mr. Oz has been interpreted in a way that I feel like, well, maybe he's not Ozymandias. Ozymandias. It
right.
just, like, he seemed kind of nice in this book. And so I thought it was an interesting interpretation of him. But, I'm sure he's still Ozymandias, but it was just, he seemed kind of nice. He seemed very helpful in this book, and I don't know why he would be.
Yeah.
I know Superman is a big part of whatever they're going to do with that. And it's the whole Superman family that's a part of it.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's going to be an interesting story. I mean, I like the way the story wrapped up in that. Well, I shouldn't say wrapped up. I like the way the book ended in that I'm interested in seeing this super family versus super family. Even though, technically Lois can't fight Ursa unless she has some type of suit on. Right. But I think that's what they are setting up.
Sure. So one of the things that annoyed me, I've got at least two things here that I'd like to talk about in this issue.
Okay.
One is that they really seem to tease at the end of the last issue that we were going to spend some quality time in the Phantom Zone. That we were going to get to see what the Phantom Zone looks like in the New 52, in the DC Rebirth era. What does the Phantom Zone look like? And you send all of these heroes. You send Superwoman, the Chinese Superman. You send Steel. You send Superman, plus Cyborg and the Eradicator, right? You send those guys all into the Phantom Zone, and they're back in just pages later in the next issue.
Yeah.
With the exception of Cyborg. So, I mean, it seemed like there was no good reason in terms of story to waste their time in the Phantom Zone, other than to coincidentally cure Superman's blindness.
Well, and you also look at it, you have this whole team of people that are going to be, really difficult for the Superman, family to fight. And pretty much Zod just defeats, they don't actually win the fight.
Right.
Zod gets rid of him. Zod punches Mongol into space. Zod traps Cyborg, Superman in the Phantom Zone. There really wasn't a victory to that fight.
And speaking of fights, here's something else that annoys me about this book, is that Krypto, the dog, super dog, takes on Zod. Now, pound for pound, dogs are stronger than men, right? They might not. They are, in terms of a dog's strength, pound to pound, they're stronger than a man. So a super dog should be tremendously powerful. And it bugs me that the way Krypto attacks Zod is to body check him. It's not how a dog attacks. And I mean, we should have seen Krypto take him out at the legs or at the arms, at the neck, and we see him barking at his neck, and he bloodies him up. But a Kryptonian dog imbued with the powers given to him under a yellow sun should be able to tear the arm off of a likewise powered Kryptonian.
And let's not forget, Zod's been in the Phantom Zone, not under a yellow sun.
And so, I mean, I don't expect Krypto to, take out Zod. That's Superman's job, right? And I did appreciate that he was able to take Zod down fairly quickly. But I felt like we should have seen something a little bit more, and I hate to use this word in a Superman book, gruesome. It should have been more savage than it was. And that's what bothered me about that. I mean, I did like that Krypto got his licks in, but so many times, and earlier in this book, we saw Krypto dispatched so easily. And I want to see Krypto just, there's a reason why people fear dogs.
At least he wasn't eaten in this one.
Well, thank God for that, because he does get eaten a lot. So,
out of curiosity, because I didn't read all of the New 52 Superman stuff, where did this Krypto come from?
I am not really sure on that, because remember in the original New 52 books, he was very wolfy in appearance.
Yeah.
And much more dire wolf looking. I am not sure. I'm really unclear as to his origins.
Yeah, I'm
glad he's there. I'm not arguing.
Yeah, I don't know if I don't think there has been a story to reinterpret him. I think this might be the same Krypto, just they're drawing him more doggy than wolfy now.
Right.
But because he was around this way before the Superman Reborn storyline with Mr. Mxyzptlk. So
are they? We haven't seen a whole lot of Lois, Clark, and John in Metropolis, but does Krypto just live at the fortress?
I think so.
That seems kind of shitty. Why can't he live with them in Metropolis? I mean, I think they could probably scrape together a pet deposit.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I would have to look. I think I don't know that I've seen him in Metropolis, but
and I don't think that I've seen him. He doesn't seem to be a regular character in Hamilton. I think he hangs out at the fortress, and that just seems kind of lonely for Crypto.
Well, I mean, the fortress has other people in there. He's got that...
Prisoners.
Yeah, exactly.
Prisoners, Paul. That's not an appropriate environment for a young dog. These are his formative years.
Aaron, I feel like you were just delaying me being able to talk about goddamn Azrael in the pages of Detective Comics number 961. I'm like, all right, wrap up this shit so I can talk about the last page of Detective Comics number 961.
I'm blocking you.
Because the last page of Detective Comics shows the Batman Azrael suit, and I'm like, yes.
You know, I said it before, not a big Nightfall Azrael fan.
It's because you suck.
But I will tell you, I love what they're doing with him in this book, and I thought that last page was pretty damn hot with the new armor.
And I hope it's here to stay.
Hot. Yeah. It looked great. It looked great. And I got to tell you, I read this issue of Detective Comics, which is Detective Comics 961 and 960 back-to-back, because I didn't read 960 when it first came out. And those two books read beautifully together.
Oh, yeah.
I'm enjoying the story with the backstory with Zatanna and young Bruce Wayne. I think her kind of explaining magic to a guy who's as cynical as Batman is fascinating. And I am much more impressed by the fact that all of this is taking place in a similar continuity with what's going on in Metal.
Yeah.
Because there are so many references to the Metal story in this book, in that, Bruce is aware of the God Machine. Bruce is, he's aware of these things. This story shows that this has been on his mind for a while. And I think that's a nice tie-in.
It feels natural for me. It feels like Tom King and James Tynion IV planned ahead so that this didn't feel, force-fed and shoved in and out of place. This feels like a natural progression of the storyline we were getting. And I think these guys are super talented. And DC, if you want to give James Tynion IV and Alvaro Martinez a Zatanna book, I will buy the hell out of that book.
Yeah.
Because this Alvaro Martinez, who I am, again, we talked about him last issue. I am not familiar with this artist, but he is like stupendous.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's a beautiful book. And Bruce bumping into Ra's al Ghul in that, young Bruce bumping into Ra's al Ghul in their suite is just a great scene. It's just a throwaway scene. You're like, oh crap, what was Raj up to there? Yeah. It's just a great book, and the designs are great. I like there is a fantastic inner conflict going on with Azrael, and fighting the AI that's been implanted in him. This book is great, and they've done something that no one has done before. Is they've made me very interested in the Batwing character.
Yeah, this team is just so talented. Wayne, you are missing out on this storyline.
Yeah,
do it.
Yeah, it's super good. It's super good.
But as good as this book was, my book of the week was Batman Shadow number 4, Aaron.
It's an awesome book, Paul.
Oh my God. So there's a scene where Batman and the Shadow are side by side, and shit's about to go down. And the Shadow says, "You say I wasn't your teacher, Batman, yet you bring me such gifts." And all of a sudden they just start wailing on the Rogues Gallery. And that is just such an awesome sequence.
What about the page where all of the Batman villains have lined up to execute Batman, to cut his heart out?
Yeah.
And Joker, you got Joker, Man-Bat, Penguin, Scarecrow, and the Stag, which is a shadow villain, are all sitting there and madman laughter. And you see it's panel after panel, and suddenly you see that Joker kind of stops. The laughter is continuing. He stops. He's like, "Oh, that's not me," and it's the Shadow who's doing the laughing.
Yeah.
Perfect scene. Perfect scene.
And extremely good in guided view.
Oh yeah, a fantastic and guided view. And the dialogue in this book is terrific. The Shadow says, The weed of crime must be plucked, Batman. Your garden grows wild. I fucking love this book.
It is so good. It's this, and I think there's 2 more issues left of this series.
Yeah.
I will be sad to see it go, but I am happy that this book is co-written by Scott Snyder and I don't recall the other. It's Steve Orlando.
Yeah.
And I believe Steve Orlando is writing the Shadow book that's coming from Dynamite, right?
Yeah.
With artist Daniel HDR.
Yeah. And have you, Daniel's posting images from, that he's illustrating on his Instagram feed. Mm-hmm. And oh my God, it's hot, Paul. The images are just stunning.
It looks, I am so on board for that new Shadow book.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm pretty damn excited. And this book, guys, if you haven't gotten on, there were 4 issues in. I have enjoyed every single issue of this book. Shadow is written well. Batman's written well. The art's fantastic. There's nothing not to love here.
Agreed. And let me correct myself. The writer is Cy Spurrier on that new book. So sadly, not Steve Orlando, but Cy Spurrier is a good writer on his own as well.
Well, it's got me jazzed for the Shadow. In fact, I picked up the Shadow radio series collection on Audible this week, which has got like the entire archive of Shadow radio series.
I love that radio series so much.
So, yeah. I mean, it's like 9,000 hours of radio.
But it's such a joyful listen.
Yeah, it really is. So yeah, you just can't go wrong with this book. And I got to tell you, it is the Shadow book I've been looking for such a long time. I've been so disappointed in Shadow books in the past, and this one's just fantastic.
Yeah, agreed.
I'm going to be sad when it's over.
Did I ever tell you guys that I found a copy of the Shadow movie and I tried to go back and rewatch it?
It's so good.
With Alec Baldwin?
It did not hold up.
I don't think I've ever seen it.
What?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen it.
It's good.
Yeah. Take your word for it, Paul.
I need a double feature of that and The Phantom, and I am just a happy camper. A triple feature with The Rocketeer.
I thought you were going to throw Dick Tracy in there.
Ah, yes, that too.
Yeah, Phantom and Rocketeer both hold up, but Phantom, I rewatch that one occasionally. It's just so good.
I would do a pulp. If I owned a movie theater, I would have Pulp Heroes Saturday and just show all 4 of those movies back to back.
And you'd be the only one in there, Paul.
And that's the way I want it. No, I'm just kidding.
But you got to do it like Alamo Drafthouse, where they have cereal Saturdays.
Yes.
So you fill up your cereal bowl, you go in there and you watch your stories.
And we can even show some of those classic cereals on the cinema.
That's right. On the cinema.
On the cinema screen.
Oh, Paul.
I know.
Next, Paul's going to tell us when he was a boy, you could go see it. You could take 25 cents to the theater. You could see a double feature, 3 cereals, a cartoon, and still have money for Coke and Pop.
That Coca-Cola classic. So next week in comic stores.
Yes, sir.
I feel like it is important to announce here on this podcast that next week from DC Comics, the beginning of the Jack Kirby 100 specials with New Gods special, written by Shane Davis and written and drawn by Shane Davis and Walt Simonson.
I'm super, super jazzed for this.
Yes, it is a $4.99 book, but you get 3 stories out of it, and it's worth it.
Yeah, it's a $4.99 book. That's not bad at all. Marvel would have charged like $7.99 or something really ridiculous for it.
I can't wait. I think there's all but one of these books. I think it's the Newsboy Legion I'm not into, but the other books just sound fantastic to me.
Yeah, so it features a feature-length story featuring Orion, Lightray, Forager, and Calabac. In a backup story, Walt Simonson tells a tale of young Orion, and it includes a reprint of a classic New Gods tale by Jack Kirby. It is money well spent. I can tell you that right now, and I haven't even read the book.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Also from DC Comics, the War of Jokes and Riddles continues in the pages of Batman.
Also a good run of stories.
And if you want a preachy history lesson, you can pick up Superman number 28. The second part of the Kent's trek across America.
If you'd like more propaganda.
Yeah.
I am really thinking about skipping it.
I'm going to skip it. I am actually going to skip it. I know I'm not going to enjoy it. And I'm not that much of a completionist that I need to buy something I know I'm not going to enjoy.
So since you mentioned Superman, I did look up the origins of the New 52 Crypto.
Mm-hmm.
He was Jor-El and Kal-El's dog on Krypton, and got put in the Phantom Zone. And that's how he got to Earth. He was a ghost dog following around and protecting Clark. And then when they opened the Phantom Zone, he came out.
I remember that from those first, I think it was the Grant Morrison books.
Yeah.
That you had this, Phantom Zone something, what we thought might have been stalking him.
Yeah, but that was the wolf dog.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so I guess they're just
that is Crypto. Yeah, they just drew him differently. It's the same dog.
Well, also next week from Marvel Comics, they're doing that Generations event, which is a bunch of one-shots. This next week's is Generations Banner Hulk and the Totally Awesome Hulk. It's kind of like a time travel tale featuring Bruce Banner and Amadeus Cho Hulk teaming up, written by Greg Pak, art by Matteo Buffagni. Not familiar with the artist. But that the Generations tales kind of have like Wolverine with X-23 and Jean Grey with old Jean Grey, and just kind of different tales of the original interpretations of the characters teaming up with the current interpretations of their characters.
Is there going to be a Thor team up?
Yes, there is.
That one might be interesting.
Couple of interesting books from Image Comics next week. Reborn from Mark Miller and Greg Capullo. I dropped out, I think, after the second issue, but the trade paperback comes out next week for $12.99, which is actually a pretty decent price. And there's another book from Image that kind of sounds interesting, written by Jay Faerber. It's the fantastic story of what really happened to Amelia Earhart. Mysteriously transported to a strange new world filled with flying beasts and alien civilizations, Amelia desperately struggles to return home. Along the way, she forges alliances and makes enemies as she goes from aviator to freedom fighter in a rebellion against a merciless warlord. It sounds fun, and the art looks good on the cover. I might check this one out.
Cool.
So all that and more next week, Funnybooks.
Very exciting. And don't forget, iomgeek.com. And call us. Let us know what you thought of this week's comics and the news out of San Diego Comic-Con. Let us know what you think of the new site at 972-763-5903. That number, once again, 972-763-5903. And if we use your voicemail on the show, you'll win a coveted, valuable Ideology of Madness surprise.
Very exciting. Very exciting.
It is exciting, Paul. It is exciting. And just remember, not hard. Wolf hard.
Catch you guys next time.
Podcast theme music graciously provided by Mark Andrew Pope. For more information, visit markandrewpope.com. Funny Books with Aaron and Polly is a production of ideologyofmadness.com. No Spider-Man clones were harmed in the production of this podcast.